right mattress.
Now at 5, Pfizer announces COVID-19 vaccines will be needed again next year to combat new variants.
Congressional Democrats and the president are urging immediate action on the debt ceiling ahead of a critical deadline. I'm Natalie Brand on Capitol Hill. I'll tell you why Republicans say they're blocking it.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Pfizer announces a new COVID-19 vaccine will be needed by mid-2022. This is KOAM News at 5. Despite that announcement, one local pharmacist we spoke with says new vaccines aren't something new. The flu vaccine is new every year. It's offered because it's changed to combat the expected flu strains for the upcoming season. Chad Isaacs with Stone's Corner Pharmacy says we should expect the same with COVID vaccines as time goes on.
But that vaccine's going to change too. Just like the flu vaccine, we're going to have changes because of that virus changing and mutating. You know, the Delta variant and other things have cropped up, and the current vaccine has still been pretty effective against that. But come next year and years to come, that may change.
Tonight at 6, we're going to hear more from Isaacs on similarities between the flu vaccine and the COVID vaccine and why your flu shot is still very important. Nick Kelly joining us now. Beautiful sunny day today, Nick.
I know, doesn't look bad at all to start this new work week and school week out, Jordan. We had nice looking skies, and we're still seeing plenty of that from 7th and Range Line in the east side of Joplin. And not much to show for the time being, at least in our area in the Skywatch Storm Tracker. In fact, much of the 4-state region is looking pretty quiet, but in the upper levels, this was our upper level wave north of Cincinnati that gave us our rain chances over the weekend. There's a new one spawning just around the Memphis area. That's going to start to play a role in our forecast tomorrow and certainly by Wednesday. In the short term, though, temperatures don't look bad. Upper 70s to near 80. Warm, sure, but we've seen worse temperatures around here. In fact, we'll go back into the mid 70s quickly by 6 o'clock. We'll fall through to 60s, 50s, Jordan, down to about 53 tonight. We'll see what that upper low near Memphis wants to do over the next few days. Here in a bit.
Kelly, thank you so much. The Supreme Court began its first in-person term since March 2020 with plans to hear arguments on some of the most divisive issues in our time. Justice Brett Kavanaugh joined in remotely after previously testing positive for COVID-19. In December, justices are going to hear arguments on a Mississippi law that bans abortion after 15 weeks of pregnancy. The Supreme Court is also set to take on a major gun rights case over New York's concealed carry laws. The Senate is set to begin debate on an extension of the debt ceiling. The Treasury Department says Congress has to raise the debt ceiling in the next 2 weeks, or the U.S. is going to default on its loans for the first time in American history. But Republicans are refusing to negotiate on the debt ceiling as long as Democrats are trying to pass President Biden's legislative agenda on their own. Reporter Natalie Brand has more details now from Capitol Hill.
President Biden says Congress needs to act now to raise the debt ceiling before the October 18th deadline when the country will run out of money to pay its bills.
Social Security benefits. The American people are promised salaries for servicemen and women, benefits for veterans. We're going to have to raise the debt limit if we're going to meet those obligations.
Senate Leader Chuck Schumer says he wants a bill on the president's desk by the end of the week, but Minority Leader Mitch McConnell released this letter saying Democrats should raise it on their own since they're working to pass a proposed $3.5 trillion spending bill.
If this stuff passes, this massive spending and tax bill, that inflation is going to get much worse.
The president called on Republicans not to filibuster the bill, which would require 60 votes to move forward.
If you don't want to help save the country, get out of the way so you don't destroy it.
The Democratic social spending bill, as well as the $1.2 trillion bipartisan physical infrastructure bill, have put progressive Democrats and moderates at odds. Democratic leaders are pushing back their own deadline to pass both bills until the end of the month as they try to win over moderates Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona and West Virginia's Joe Manchin. Both say the spending bill costs too much money.
I need 50 votes in the Senate. I have 48.
New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says they may be able to find ways to scale back.
Fully fund what we can fully fund, but maybe instead of doing it for 10 years, you fully fund it for 5 years.
Meanwhile, activists are aggressively protesting Senators Manchin and Sinema.
We need a Build Back Better plan right now.
Even following the Arizona Democrat into a restroom over the weekend.
Senator Sinema released a statement saying the behavior of activists filming her in the restroom is not a legitimate protest and called it unacceptable. Crews around the beaches and out in the water today trying to clean up and contain a massive oil spill that stretches for about 13 square miles in Southern California. At least 126,000 gallons of oil began pouring into the Pacific Ocean over the weekend from an underwater pipeline about 4.5 miles offshore. The oil is washing up on popular beaches and threatening wildlife, especially those birds that we did see earlier. Officials with Amplify Energy, which owns the pipeline, says a ship's anchor may have struck the pipeline, causing this spill. A landmark drug trial started today in a federal courtroom in Cleveland. It pits 2 Ohio counties against 4 national pharmacy chains, CVS, Walgreens, Giant Eagle, and Walmart, in a legal reckoning of sorts over the opioid crisis. Attorneys for the counties say the national pharmacy chains that dispensed hundreds of prescriptions should be held liable and responsible for the costs of opioid addictions. Pharmacies, however, have denied wrongdoing. The trial is expected to last 6 or 7 weeks. Still ahead, the PepsiCo Foundation giving to help small businesses.
Latino-owned businesses across the country are getting a much-needed boost. I'm Elise Preston with a look at a $50 million program and who it's helping.
And next in Health Watch, researchers are working on a patch to deliver vaccines as an alternative to those needles.
Avoid the hassle, go Pascal.
Topping today's Health Watch, diagnosed cases of colorectal cancer fell dramatically during the COVID-19 pandemic. New research in Spain found cases dropped by 40% in a single year. Experts believe the decline is linked to far fewer colonoscopies being performed. All right, COVID-19 shots, flu shots, childhood vaccines. Even if we know we need them, getting protected can be a pain, literally. Now researchers at UNC are developing a new technology that could make getting those vaccinations pain-free and without needles. Reporter Maggie Newland has more.
For James Todd, vaccines come with anxiety.
I'm not too fond of them. I actually have needle phobia.
He's not alone. According to the CDC, as many as 25% of adults and many children have a fear of needles, some so severe it prevents them from getting vaccinated. But one day, needles, at least the ones we're used to, may not be necessary.
It's pain-free and anxiety-free.
Dr. Joseph DeSimone at Stanford University is working with researchers at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill on a tiny patch that can deliver vaccines when applied to the skin.
And so our approach was to directly 3D print the microneedles and use a breakthrough in 3D printing that we pioneered.
The microneedles on the patch are so small they can hardly be felt. Dr. DeSimone says not only is the patch painless, it's also more effective than traditional shots.
We have 100 to 1,000 times more of the targeted immune cells in the dermis of our skin than we do in our muscle.
That means each person would require a smaller amount of vaccine. It also wouldn't need to be kept as cold as vaccines that are used in liquid form.
When you think about global access, you're going to need things like that.
Right now, the patch is being tested on animals. Dr. DeSimone says the results are promising, and within 5 years, he says this could be how you get your shots. Or more specifically, how you could give yourself your shots. Maggie Newland, CBS News, Raleigh, North Carolina.
Researchers are testing the patch with COVID vaccine. They say this technology could be used for many types of vaccine against infectious disease. Well, the brains of depressed young people seem to react differently to unsettling information, possibly to help them cope. When depressed adolescents were shown images of people crying or being attacked even, researchers from the University of Oxford found their brain scans displayed reduced activity compared to those of healthy adolescents. Researchers in Europe have identified a link between risky driving and other behaviors like eating junk food, drinking alcohol, or consuming energy drinks. They examined police and insurance records as well as blood tests of study participants and found people who are reckless in traffic may also be biologically inclined to take chances in other areas of life. That is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, an organization of campers helps construct a building for an area church.
Plus, we'll break down when our next chance for rain will be and if we can cool down anytime soon. Forecast up next.
All time.
After dealing with our rain chances this past weekend, we were fortunate enough to keep things dry for Sunday, and not to mention completely dry and staying a bit on the warm side as we got this new work week and school week underway. We saw temperatures all across the board, not just in Joplin, hit the upper 70s to near 80 yesterday, but quite a drop in temperatures this morning with temperatures in the lower to middle 50s. That did lead to some patchy areas of mist and fog overnight and into the morning, but we burned all that off. Saw temperatures easily back in the upper 70s this afternoon. So temperatures that I see for the next few days, they're going to stay mainly on the warm side, but I think they'll trend downward a little bit due to rain chances that'll try to sneak in tomorrow and Wednesday. But once they decide to get on out of here, we'll certainly be heating back up by the weekend before I see better rain chances in the forecast early next week. So quite a few things that we're keeping an eye on. At least we're not keeping an eye on anything this evening, though. It's nothing but blue skies from 7th and Range Line, 79 in Joplin, a north breeze just shy of 10 miles per hour, and that humidity bone dry at 35%. We are seeing temperatures in the mid to upper 70s in southwestern Missouri and upper 70s, just some lower 80s across our corners of Kansas and Oklahoma. From here on out, though, temperatures are set to drop off quite a bit once again. We'll be back to 74 by the top of the hour, 62 by 10, but then we'll drop back into the lower to middle 50s once again with mostly clear skies in place. With that said, I can't say that we'll expect mostly clear skies for tomorrow because even though I don't see a whole lot on the Skywatch storm tracker in our region because of a weak area high pressure that's about to fall apart on the Kansas-Oklahoma border, it's what's upstairs I'm tracking. If you remember this upper low near Ohio, that was the one that gave us the rain chances over the weekend. There's a new upper low, however, developing west of Memphis. That's the one that's going to try to shake things up a little bit as we go through the next few days. In the short term, though, that upper low doesn't do anything for us, really. Maybe a few high clouds around let's say Eureka Springs, Table Rock Lake, but we're going to stay quiet as temperatures turn chilly. Quite a bit chilly during the overnight hours, with most of us back near 53. But as that upper low gains steam and tries to work in the central and northeastern parts of Arkansas, you can see how we turn partly sunny during the afternoon tomorrow and a couple of showers trying to roll in as well. But you can see how they're very isolated in nature and not everybody's going to see them, but the chances will be there for a random shower, maybe a random storm late in the afternoon. 53 in the morning, 72 by noon. I still think we'll top out right around 75 degrees for tomorrow. I think we're quiet tomorrow evening into Wednesday morning, but as that upper low gets closer, we'll pick up on the rain chances. Scattered storms with highs around 73, 74 for tomorrow. But in terms of these rain chances, though, we're not expecting much of a washout. If anyone sees the rain, going to keep the amounts generally under a quarter of an inch, but a couple heavier downpours could maybe bring a half-inch amounts to a few spots. But again, once this upper low gets on out of here, we dry out for Thursday, highs close to the upper 70s to near 80. This upper level ridge turns us a bit hot for the weekend. And then our next system, Sunday and Monday, that's going to be the better shot for widespread rain. But again, we're holding off on that until Sunday and Monday of next week. 75 tomorrow, 74 on your Wednesday with those slight rain chances to keep an eye on, Jordan. Then back to 78 Thursday, 88 Friday, and potentially back near 90 Saturday.
So nice to see that, like as you said, beautiful clear sky for this evening.
I know. Let's just get out there and enjoy it however you can.
Definitely. All right, Nick Kelly, thank you so much. Volunteers help construct a building for a church in Nevada, Missouri. Campers on Mission is a national fellowship with state chapters where campers look and travel for opportunities to help out those in need. Today, they stopped by the Milo Baptist Church in Nevada to help set up a multi-purpose building.
We help the community by helping churches. Cost of construction is high, and the smaller churches like this one really can't afford to do what they need to do for this community, and the whole community is going to benefit from this building someday.
Campers on Mission is expected to be in the Nevada area for about a week. Coming up, Facebook continues to deal with outages on its platforms. But first, we pause to honor a local veteran. Newton Covert served in the U.S. Army from 1941 to 45. The Carl Junction, Missouri native was stationed in France as part of a tank destroyer battalion. And we salute Technician 5th grade Newton Covert, a four-state hero. To learn more about all of our four-state heroes, or if you'd like to submit one of your own, please do by visiting KOAMnewsnow.com.
At the website below.
Topping today's Consumer Watch, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp were, as of only a few minutes ago, were now experiencing a major outage. Some users couldn't get onto the Facebook website. Instagram and WhatsApp were accessible, but they couldn't load new content or send messages. It's unclear what caused this whole thing. Facebook said it was working as quickly as possible to get things back to normal. So let's hope it stays back to normal, right? The outages came a day after Frances Haugen revealed herself as the Facebook whistleblower on 60 Minutes. Haugen is a former employee who filed complaints against the social media giant with federal law enforcement. She says Facebook's own research shows that it amplifies hate, misinformation, and political unrest, but the company hides what it knows. Haugen plans to testify before Congress this week. Facebook has pushed back against these allegations. Facebook says they are not true. Shouldering both pandemic troubles and a systemic lack of access to capital, hundreds of Hispanic-owned businesses are getting a much-needed $50 million boost. Reporter Elise Preston explains why the financial help is hoping to grow legacies for generations to come.
Opening the doors to her Peruvian restaurant, Claudia's Kitchen, was a lifelong dream for Claudia Baroa.
I came from a poor family, but now I think having the restaurant too is just share my family recipes.
But sharing those dishes hasn't been easy. The family's New York City restaurant opened during the pandemic last summer.
The week that we opened, 2 restaurants closed on this block. So, we were super scared.
A 2020 Stanford University report found 86% of Latino-owned businesses experienced immediate negative effects of the pandemic, and they were disproportionately less likely to receive government help like PPP loans.
Why do you think that is?
I know particularly for the PPP, our bank was putting priority to bigger loans.
Claudia's got help from PepsiCo Foundation, which is investing $50 million into Hispanic-owned restaurants, bodegas, and butcher shops through its program, Juntos Crecemos. Together, we grow.
These are places where mothers and fathers earn their living but also raise their children. And so those legacies are lost when we do lose Hispanic businesses.
Some of the money will also go toward business development, like building websites and delivery apps.
A lot of Hispanic and Black businesses may not be represented on those platforms.
This is the dough sheeter.
Claudia's Kitchen bought a machine to speed up production of their award-winning empanadas, feeding their customers, community, and legacy. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Good looking food right there. The program is going to continue to award grants and provide business support over the next 5 years. To be eligible, Hispanic-owned businesses must be less than 3 years old and bring in less than $1 million in revenue. The Biden administration has given federal contractors until December 8th to mandate COVID-19 vaccinations for employees, and that includes some airlines because they provide services for the government. With the deadline looming, American, Alaska Airlines, and JetBlue are following in the footsteps of United Airlines in requiring employee vaccines. 42 million Americans who rely on food stamps are seeing a rise in their benefits. The government says the average recipient of its Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program will receive an increase of 27%. It's the largest increase in the history of the program. The boost kicked in on Friday. Final check of the forecast next.
Services provided by the way.
CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have an update on a fight that broke out at the Women's March in Joplin yesterday. Plus, an area pharmacist talks more about the importance of getting a flu vaccine, especially this year. And Missouri Southern continues its Japan semester with a pottery exhibit from a Japanese artist. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then, of course, KOAM News at 6. An enjoyable evening ahead of us.
I know, not looking bad, but we got to bring at least sun ray chances back in here at some point, Jordan. Thankfully not tonight, though. We'll keep things mostly clear and start the day out ahead mostly clear with lows back in the lower to middle 50s, but 75 this time around for tomorrow, thanks to partly sunny skies for the afternoon and maybe an isolated shower or storm. We'll have to bump those chances up a little bit and bump temperatures down to 74 for Wednesday. Then we dry out to get the weekend started, but Summer's not quite done yet. You can see how, Jordan, we go to 78 on Thursday and back near 90 before better chances of rain later in the forecast.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. Then, of course, KOM News at 6. Have a great evening.